How you guys doing up there? Good? Okay. Well, obviously we're back at it. It was an exciting win for us last Saturday, and got the guys back together last night and refocused on this week. I don't know that we need to necessarily talk about TCU and the type of football team they have and the explosive players, and so we'll have our work cut out for us this week. But we're at a point where we're really excited about the game. A lot of preparation that we need in order to be successful on Saturday. Should have a great day, great crowd, and looking forward to a really good week of preparation.
Like your corners, Lampkin didn't play and Peterson went out. I would assume you need them Saturday. What's their status?
I think that we'll have both players. We've got a number of players that are dinged up, as many teams do during this time of the season. And hopefully we'll have those guys practicing in the latter part of the week and playing for us on Saturday.
Hunter's played a lot this year. Richards played a lot last year. How'd those guys do, particularly Saturday?
Hunter played pretty well, and I thought Richards played good. As he gets into the game a little bit more, they give us a little depth. It's a big advantage when we have four of them for a lot of reasons, the number of plays and the speed in the game and chasing down the receivers and the quarterbacks. But I'm hoping that we'll have four of them for Saturday.
TCU kind of team where you're just going to have to play nickel or maybe even dime as your base?
I would say nickel quite a bit, maybe some dime. The question came up earlier on one of our teleconferences is, Boykin is played in this system for give or take around 20 games. And if there were an answer scheme-wise, X's and O's, I'm guessing that somebody would have come up with that solution by now. You have to play good defense, you have to use team speed, you have to run the football, and you have to tackle well in space. He's going to make plays. I said this last week or Saturday after the Tech game that, if there's a more dynamic player out there in college football, I haven't seen it. I'm sure the running back at LSU is a great player. I haven't seen that as many plays with him because I don't get their crossover tape. But our guys will have a plan, and we'll play extremely hard and chase the ball, and I think that's as important as anything in trying to slow their offense down.
Is it, I don't think you want to need to score 50 points to win these showdowns, but is it comforting to know that you did, if you need to, you've proven you can?
I think we played really well on offense. I thought that our coaches had a terrific scheme and our players understood the plan. But you would hope that you don't have to score that many points to win a game, but in this league with the quarterback play that we're getting, it's very similar to what we had 4 or 5 years ago when we had several NFL quarterbacks that were in this league. You're going to see some numbers that are considerably higher than other conferences in the country. That's just my opinion. It's based on really good quarterback play.
How do you, with the weekend to look back at it, how do you assess the defense? You said that you thought they came out flat. Now with a couple of days, do you still feel that way, or differences?
I thought we came out flat because we didn't tackle very well. But I also think Texas Tech is pretty good on offense and has been really good out there. I think 11's a good player. The quarterback now is throwing the ball well, and he's running the ball. In their system, based on the total number of plays in the game, which is usually close to 95 or 100, there's going to be some points. And would we have liked to have played better? Sure. But I think the answer would have been to tackle better.
Is the key to tackling better having more guys around the ball?
I'm not sure. We practice tackling enough that we think we can in order to keep enough players healthy for the duration of a long season. When you don't tackle as well as you want to, you feel like you need to tackle more in practice. You tackle more in practice and get a good player hurt in practice, and then you're not very smart because he's not playing on Saturday. So it's that fine line of reps, how many physical reps. I just thought we were kind of caught up in a lull, and that's not taking anything away from Tech, because as I watch more tape that last night and this morning, and they were on our crossover tape. He's made a lot of football plays in space, and I just think he's a really good player. Yes.
So
He got us on the return and got us on the long run.
getting guys around him, getting more guys off of whatever they're doing and around him, is that
Well, we had 6 of them miss him in one play, so we had a number of them there. I'd like to say yes, but we had 6 of them that were there and they missed him. So I just think he's a really good player, and I thought that our tackling was very average to start the game, much better in the second half.
How much has the definition of a good defensive performance changed from maybe when you first became head coach?
Well, I don't believe in the defensive statistics that are out here today. I've said that several times. For 2 years I've said that. Defensive statistics need to be based on percentage of possessions defended and points based on the possessions you defend in a game. Because it's not fair, especially in this league, when you're playing teams that are averaging 100 plays a game. I think we defended 17 possessions Saturday, I think. Somebody else will know that answer. And I've used this as an example. Georgia Tech may defend 9 or 10 or 11 a game. So the numbers are going to be different. I mean, and that's quite a change, an option team versus what we do. But your numbers are going to get blown up based on the style of play in this league.
Y'all have trailed in the fourth quarter in half of these games during this win streak. I'm sure you'd rather have less stress than that, but does that better prepare you for what you're coming up against in November? That you've had that kind of, you've been tested like that?
I think so, yes. Mentally, physically, it's more wear and tear on your bodies. You know, we're concerned about that right now with our team. But they at least know they can, if they're behind, they can fight back to win. You'd like to not be dealt that hand as many times as we have. But it is what it is, and we continue to stress the preparation in Sunday through Friday, and we go play on Saturday, and we're playing good football teams, and ball's not round. It's going to bounce different ways. We just got to keep playing.
94 offensive snaps. Was Ogba out there for 85 of them?
He was out there for 70, I want to say 78. But I heard so many different numbers. I could be off a few there, but I think he was out there 78 plays.
what did you do differently in the second half? When you say come out flat in the first half defensively, was it more energy, more emotion, more focus, or was it just better tackling?
I think our players are focused. I just think their energy level and they just were flat tackling. It wasn't anything scheme-wise that really put us behind the 8 ball. On the first touchdown on the wheel route, the ex-receiver comes in and knocks our linebacker down and get the guy turned loose. I mean, things like that are going to happen in games, and when they do, so the scheme wasn't really the factor. It was the poor tackling early that was a factor. Now, I forgot the first part of the question you asked me.
Second half.
Well, we changed up a little bit of man zone scheme on the backside in certain formations, how we were locking down with the back and playing the X receiver, more X's and O's than really the tackling standpoint. I just thought we were faster in the latter part of the third quarter and the fourth quarter getting to the ball than we were in the first half.
Doing a story on Emmanuel Alba, can you just speak on what he brings to this team from a leadership standpoint and on the field as well?
He's been really good. Most players, young men that are in his position, that know at some point in their career, if they stay healthy and continue to move forward, that they're going to play for a long time and they're going to be worth a lot of money. Sometimes they don't practice as well. He hasn't changed any at all. Very seldom talks. He leads by example, pushes hard in the weight room. He's a great leader for us in practice. Practices extremely hard, plays hard, never says a word, never complains, never wants anything. And he's a great asset to our program.
Just talking to him earlier, he doesn't even seem like he likes talking about himself. He always tries to defer it to his teammates. You just think that speaks about him from a leadership standpoint too, and that guys can kind of look at him as an example.
I think he was raised that way in his upbringing, and not knowing them well enough to really comment on that, but just most of the players that we get, obviously from what they're getting at home is really what we get when they get here, and I think he was raised that way. He would prefer to not talk about himself. He would rather you just let him go and let him play the games and practice and go to school, and he's going to graduate from college. And he wants to move forward in those directions. He doesn't have any interest on the outside things that are going on.
The schedule is the schedule, and you got to play whatever's in front of you. But would you rather have all these spread offenses and air raid offenses and power spread and all that back to back to back, or would it be better to space them out and have some running offenses in between?
You would prefer to not run into the 100 play a game teams back to back to back, but you know, I mean, we're in a position that we'd like to be in right now. We've done well in the games that we've played, and everybody's got certain things that you worry about during the season scheduling, and it's one of those issues you can't control. You just kind of go with it.
You got important coverage and pressure guys, Peterson, Lampkin, and Dean. What's your expectation of them? They might be physically.
Well, Barry had asked me about them. I'm hoping we'll have them practicing, but we always find out more Tuesday morning. They go through their exams today with the doctors and all the different the scenarios they go through, and we know a lot more on Tuesday mornings.
Is, going back to the start of his senior year of high school, he's 25-1 as a starting quarterback. Do you believe that some guys just have, beyond physical ability and a mastery of the position, do you believe that some guys just have a clutch gene or a winning gene about it?
I think some guys that display toughness and leadership and some charisma and so on and so forth have been more successful in team sports than maybe others, and I guess individual. Now that I think about it, I don't know what that is. If we knew particularly what that was, those are the guys that we would recruit. And, you know, that kind of falls in the football IQ that we talk about. Some players have a different football IQ than others, and it doesn't necessarily represent their physical or athletic ability. Their football IQ is a lot higher than others, and fortunately with us and him now, his football IQ seems to be pretty high.
There's a perception out there that after he didn't play in the fourth quarter, Mason, that he might be having some bad body language or maybe an unfavorable reaction to that. What is your opinion on that?
Oh, I don't agree with that. I don't know, where did perception come from?
He didn't play in the fourth quarter.
No, but where'd the perception come from?
I don't understand.
Where'd you come up with that thought?
People are asking me about it.
Oh,
On
well, I
Twitter
don't
and
know.
stuff.
You'd have to tell me who those people are. You talking about people watch TV?
Yeah, no, here's an example for you. In the post-game interviews, when I interviewed him, his answers were like 5-6 words. Very short, very to the point. Let me get out of here. Just didn't seem like his body language was very.
I haven't gotten that from him. So, I mean, now, I don't spend a lot of time with those guys and sit down and talk to them, but he's been really good with us, so.
I just thought, your starting quarterback doesn't play in the fourth quarter. There's going to be a reaction of some kind, but you're saying no.
I can't answer for that. I haven't seen any issues. I thought it worked out pretty well.
You had Heisman level guys come in here, Mike, for 10 years, like Vince Young, Colton Coy, Griffin, big one, Sam Bradford.
RG3.
Yeah, and so you knew last year Boykin was really good, but I mean, you placed Boykin on that level of
Sure.
of play.
I said earlier before you guys got in here, if there's a more dynamic player in college football, I don't know where he's at. Maybe at LSU, I'm not sure. That's just because I see crossover tape on him all the time. Maybe you guys see somebody else that is like him. I don't see anybody else that's like him at this time.
Have you seen a guy kind of evolve the way he has? 2 years ago, he threw 3 interceptions on this field when you guys played them. A different offense. They bring in a new scheme. Have you seen a guy make that kind of a leap from just 2 years ago to where he is now?
I think Geno Smith did it in the same system. I'm not sure what his numbers were prior to when Dana got there, but you know, the system that we have here that Doug implemented, and then he tied it in with his ability a little bit. You'd have to ask Doug, because they're running some option and things with him, and he keeps the ball at times, which we didn't do that here with Brandon, but the plays and everything's the same. All the signaling and what they're doing is the same as what we did here. So the only one I can think of would be, I don't know what Case Keenum did when they put that system in down there at Houston. I don't know what his numbers were. So, but he's done very well.
Different systems, but in terms of growth, a guy like Vince Young does stand out, doesn't he? when you're talking about trying to encapsulate how Boykin has grown in a couple of years. Vince Young comes out as a freshman, and he doesn't look anything like he did when he was a senior.
Yeah, and honestly, it's been so long, I can't remember his early years, but Vince could take a game over, yes. He did it out here with us. We were ahead of him 3 or 4 touchdowns. I don't remember what the score was, and he came out, and essentially we couldn't tackle him.
Boykin have that capability? Yeah.
He's playing pretty good, you know, and I want to be able to give him credit and them credit for what they've done, but I also want to make sure everybody knows that our defense is going to come out and play hard, and we'll use our team speed, and I'll be surprised if our guys don't play well.
How close is your offense to what you had envisioned of it before the season started?
Further along, not as good in the running game as I would hope that we would have gotten at some point. Better in the throwing game than I thought we would be preseason.
As far as the two quarterback system you're using, when was that kind of born? Was that in bowl season last year, off season? Because I'm sure you were trying to make sure that JW was still engaged while Mason was not.
Really in off season, just talking about what we could, how we could use him, because he's been a good player. He's had an unfortunate run of injuries at particular times that have affected his career, but when he was healthy, he played well and was productive. And so we wanted to implement him and bring him into the system, and it's just kind of grown as the season's gone on based on his success.
I know you've spoken because they're both unselfish guys. That's a big part of why it's worked. But can you pinpoint something about their personalities, why you believe that this two-quarterback system has had the success that it's had up until this point?
Well, I said last week that they're both good individuals. They're good people, and they've been brought up the right way. They have good home lives, and I think they're unselfish, and they get it. And they're team guys. And I guess I don't want to mislead anybody. And John asked the question. I'm sure Mason would like to play every play, and I'm sure JW would like to play every play. So I'm not saying that in their mind at some time they may not feel like, I wish I was the guy out there all 80 plays. But it hasn't created an issue with the team or them at this particular time.
Have you ever had an offense that's been so adaptable mid-game in terms of just kind of going with the hot hand, going with
No, Brandon, because we haven't done that, and I don't know that I don't think it's a good system, long term, because I think there's a lot of variables that have to fall into place for it to work, which are a lot of the questions that we're getting today, and I haven't had a lot of experience with that. Now we've had one year we used 3 quarterbacks because they were of injuries. We lost one, another guy came in, lost one, put another guy in. They all played well. That's when we had the quarterback controversy in the spring because we had 3 guys that were returning that all threw for 1,000 yards. That was not by choice. This one is a little bit more by choice, so it is unusual for our team and for me.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Joe.
I was with a group of people yesterday that kept talking about TCU, Baylor, and OU. Its comments today about TCU, Baylor, and OU, and Iowa State trap game.
Gosh, I hadn't even thought about Iowa State. I mean, it's hard for me to get past TCU right now when I watch them on tape.
I understand you take it 1 week at a time, but
One day at a time with this team. I mean, I can tell you.
but
I will say this. I did watch some of that game because it was on the TV on the plane we were flying home, and he's done a really good – I have watched very little of them, but I thought they played terrific, in my opinion.
They've lost to 4 undefeated teams.
I didn't know that. I'm with you. I said from the start that they've always done a good job, and the parity in this league is strong.
Mike, you talked a little bit about, go ahead, Bill.
No, I was just going to ask Mike, in your history of football, can you ever remember more big, meaningful games wedged into one calendar month than what you have in the Big 12 coming up this month?
I would guess no, but I hadn't really thought about it much. I mean, you guys follow that stuff a lot closer than I do. I just don't pay much attention to that. I've said this for a number of weeks now. We're not good enough here to just look past even tomorrow's practice. I mean, that's just where we are as a football team. We have to try to improve each day to stay alive, and our goal last week was just to be a point or two better than Texas Tech. That's the only thing we could worry about, and this week is try to play the very best we can against TCU.
Mike, you talked a little bit about it Saturday, with your offense and the way it operates with two different guys, the stress that can put in preparation for a defensive coordinator. Can you elaborate a little more on that? Because, you're facing a head coach this week. That's his sweet side of the ball. He digs defense. How much stress will this put on TCU this week?
Yeah, I watched him last night and all day today, and he spends most of the time on the field, outside of the white. I've enjoyed watching that again this year. But he is one of the best defensive minds in college football, in my opinion. He does a great job and has built that program and has done a great job in recruiting. You would have to ask him from a defensive standpoint, preparation, practice reps, all the different areas that in the way that a defense attacks an offense. We use J-Dub along with Mason because we think it provides us the best chance to move the ball and score points and keeps us balanced as an offense. We haven't run the ball well enough to not include J-Dub into our system to help us in the run game, to balance out those yards and different things that we think makes us better on offense. That's just our opinion.
But it really is kind of an oddity. I mean, you just don't see it work like this very often, almost if ever.
I don't know of any. I mentioned maybe Spurrier had two quarterbacks play 1 year, and I don't know how many games they won or what they did, but I don't know of any other team. It's not something we planned. It's just something that's happened, and we have to try to play to our strength the best that we can.
Mike, is it a case of just it fell out of favor and there's no reason why it can't work? Teams used to do it a lot back in the 60s and 70s.
No, you're right. You're right. I think the biggest issue are some of the questions that are coming up here today, like what John said, is we live in a world where these players, there's technology, there's internet, you can turn the channel on, you can turn TV on right now and flip the channels. There'll be 3 or 4 people on a national audience talking about the games this week. And years ago, that wasn't around. And so I think one of the biggest issues that you could have is a player being more selfish than they would have been in the 60s or 70s because nobody really knew about it. When I was growing up in the 70s, I didn't know who won between Mississippi and Mississippi State. You had to look too far in the newspaper, and you certainly couldn't watch it on TV because we only 2 games a week. And I think it's changed now, and I think that could be the biggest issue in having a 2-quarterback system.
Is football too evolved that it's a quarterback-driven game? I mean, you've said it a million times. If you have a great quarterback, you can win. If you don't, it's really hard.
I
So
don't think there's any.
the quarterback gets so much attention. And
I don't think there's any question that your team, for the most part, goes as your quarterback goes.
And your quarterback was on the bench throughout the fourth quarter. Was that any by design?
We have 2 of them.
Yeah, you're right. Your starting quarterback. Was that at all by design though, or was it just kind of a
Not by
2-play
design.
drive and bam, it's a touchdown, and another 2-play drive and bam, it's a touchdown?
We haven't gone into a game yet knowing how much JW would play or win.
Some of the trepidation about this whole issue, because some people, maybe a lot of us, just forgot how good of a quarterback J.W. really was. I mean, he scored 31. He got an offense that turned out to be not any good at all, to 31 points against Florida State before he got hurt.
And a few years before that, we played Texas, and he threw for 400 yards, I think. So I'm not saying that he's, the next Bart Starr. I mean, I'm just saying that he brings some charisma, some toughness, some leadership, and he has been successful during his career in high school and college offensively. So we talked about it in the summer that if we had a wide receiver or a running back that could bring more to the game, wouldn't you play him? So why can't you play a quarterback that brings more to the game? And some of the questions were the ones that y'all have asked. But for us, it doesn't do us a lot of good if he never gets into the game when we don't use the capabilities that he has. That's really all it's come down to.
It's just interesting with Walsall. It's like he's an overnight sensation.
See, it's like he's been here. It's like when we played T.J. Rubley 7 times or 8 times, however many times we played him that year or that career. It's like he's been here for a long time, and so he's doing an intern to be a coach. He wants to be a coach, so it's on a long-term intern.
You got a chance to get a 6th year?
Those papers, and you're getting out of my realm here. I don't know enough about that, but that paperwork, in a case of a 6th year, I think is filed once their eligibility is finished with their last game, and he would be a very good candidate for that, yes, because of his injuries.
T.J. Rubley actually only played 5 years.
I think we played him, but we played him 5 times, yeah. So it seemed like 7 because he threw for 400 every game.
Go back and see who all Walsh played against. Maybe he played somebody 6.
Yeah, that was kind of an exaggeration, but I felt like TJ was there for 7 years. So
A couple of the players and Coach Yurcich mentioned out there, one of the plays that stuck out on tape was James Washington leaping for that Hail Mary and how far he got off the ground. I wasn't sure if that stuck out to you, even though he kind of made those other plays.
well, yeah, he's a leaper. He's probably 40-inch vertical guy, and I thought he should have caught it. I haven't watched it on TV. Should he have caught it? Oh, they did. See, I didn't see it. I couldn't see it because on the tip. Yeah. So, yeah, he's about a 40-inch vertical guy. He gets up there pretty good.
Do you, Mike, both your quarterbacks threw pretty good blocks, like on the reverses a couple times, and the JW on Taylor's touchdown run, flat the guy. Do you have any specific instructions for your quarterbacks in terms of blocking?
We want him to block those the plays that now the one with JW was just hustling down the field and getting involved. Most of those other ones, the quarterback's involved in the block.
You typically, don't you show some plays on Sunday that are like hustle plays? Are you guys still doing that?
Hey Siri, knock it off.
Yeah, I don't even have Siri. That's voice control. I don't even know what that is. That's Gary Patterson. He's skunking us.
Did Chad Whitener's tackle on the Grant 90-yard play make that cut?
No, but that was is a great example of effort. That was when 4 or 5 guys. I think he missed him at one time, didn't he, or twice, and then tackled him 90 yards down the field. Yeah, it was good, really good hustle on his part. Yes.
Fumble recovery.
That made the highlight tape for 2 reasons. One, so JW would take care of the ball, and 2, that Taylor was in the right place and also used great technique in covering the ball up. Jumped on it and stayed to the side so he didn't smash it out. He curled it up just like a champ.
Also on the punt return, now Mike Tavius is getting a lot of publicity. He's had a good season. He had the first block, but Cameron Doolittle had the next one.
C.J. Curry.
C.J. Curry, yeah.
Those guys did a good job. Sure did.
How do you plan to use your tailbacks Saturday?
Well, they get a lot of work. There's so many reps. There's so many reps that they get a lot of work, and you almost go with the guy that's playing well. But Raymond Taylor's playing really well, and the number of carries he's got, and the plays he's made, and bounced off tackles, and so, and we haven't had that discussion yet. Those will take place tomorrow morning. But he's a guy, in my opinion, that needs more carries, based on the productivity that he's had up to this point.
What do you like about him and the way he runs? What is different about him? Change of pace?
He's been productive. He's kind of like a little rubber ball. He bounces around and he stays on his feet and keeps going. He's been very productive in the number of opportunities that he's had.
Is there a chance you run him out there to start the game on Saturday?
I mean, I would hate to get into that without talking to our guys, but they all get the same work in practice, and they rotate them through so many different ways, and guys get certain plays, some guys don't get certain plays. So, but I think without having that meeting that he needs to touch the ball more, in my opinion.
With a guy who had pretty good balance and vision and creativity. Is it not even beginning to compare the two, but is that important when maybe the hole's not there?
Sure.
As you guys have struggled to run the football this year, you get a guy in there that can do other things.
Sure. And if you watch the game and you have the clicker in your hand and you can run it back like we do and we watch all the crossover tape, there's a number of plays and yards, rushing yards that have been accomplished in this league, and the blocking's not very good. The guys that are touching the ball are making it happen.
Will Seals play Saturday?
Yes. We suspended him last week, made a terrible decision.
Coach, with McCluskey's punt return, would you say that was a weight lifted off his shoulders on that touchdown? Because we know he's struggled a little bit in the beginning of the season, but he's gotten better. Would you say that?
He was doing okay, and we really haven't given him many opportunities. The blocking has been okay. The punting that we face has been tremendous, and that's limited his opportunities. It's been more of a lift off me because I just want to see him run. I've seen him run in practice, and we haven't had the opportunity to see him run yet, except on passes and reverses. I think that he should develop into being a really good returner, and so I think maybe for him, but more so even for me, I was glad to see him get out there in space and be able to take off and run.
Did the guys convince you to do any dancing on Saturday?
I think they were too tired. Yeah. And my counterpart dance, they said. See, he took it over. I need to see it. What did it look like? Put on the what?